Yo, what is going on, everybody? It's time for another live stream. Today is Saturday? Sunday? Sunday, September 6th, 2020. It's 3 p.m. I do know that it's 3 p.m. That part I'm sure of. The day escaped me for a little bit there. I kind of forgot what day it was. But I now know that it is Sunday. How's everybody doing today? Today's a day where I am going to go with some noon for my happy hour. Well, it's not really happy hour. It's a Sunday, but for my live stream beverage of choice for today. Because this mango, what is it, mango? I always forget. It's my favorite flavor. Mango orange. The sport version has a little bit of caffeine in it, and I'm desperately thirsty for some reason. And I wanted a little bit of caffeine, but I just finished a cup of coffee, so don't want more coffee. So we'll go with the noon. It didn't quite dissolve yet, but it's getting there. I'm getting a little hint of that mango orange flavor. How's everybody doing? I see my mom's here. How's it going, Mom? How are you? I meant to call you yesterday, Mom, and then kind of just lost track of the day, so sorry about that. Let's see who else is here. We got Not Really Hank Aaron, JC, Bert Legas, Plant Power Dan. Awesome. Ronan Reviews is here as well. Good to see you. Recycle on Wednesdays. Awesome. We got a good crew here. We got Stevie. Adam Anderson says, hey, everyone. And his Dunbar is here as well. And Stevie76 and Martha. Cool. Very cool. All right. Bert Legas says, I took 10 days off after a 50K and worked in the garden. I have the impression that my muscles got stronger all over my body. We probably did. Speaking of muscles getting stronger all over the body, I've been picking up from where we left off yesterday, where we talked about glute activation, or removing the phrase activating glutes or glute activation from my vocabulary, but just talking about making all my muscles, leg muscles, stronger, focusing specifically on the glutes though. I looked at some more videos yesterday. I did some new exercises today. Let me adjust this mic a little bit. And found some that I really felt like, oh, okay. I made some tweaks to them, changes to them, and I felt like, okay, I feel like now I'm doing at least those exercises right. So that helps, and hopefully that'll help me. And then make me stronger all around. And I think that what I'm figuring out is that my hamstrings are getting overworked. And my glutes are not working hard enough. And so my hamstrings are just tired and tight. Or maybe they're working too much. I don't know. I don't care whether they're working too hard or not enough. But I think my butt muscles aren't working hard enough. So I need to work on them, make them stronger. And I found a video today that talked about, it was a funny phrase that they brought in. The person that was on YouTube, it's a video that had over 1 million views. So a very well-watched video. And he brought in a doctor who specializes in, I don't think he specializes in the butt muscle. But I think he specializes in sport medicine and knew a lot about this. And he said that we can have gluteal amnesia, something like that. And I'm like, okay, I think I'm starting to understand that. We're getting around to the concept. I don't mean to cup like this, but I think we're getting visually, conceptually, I'm getting around to the concept. I'm not literally cupping the butt, but I'm visually. For those listening, I'm making a hand cupping motion, but we're literally, figuratively getting around to the understanding of the idea, where some of the muscles haven't been working due to the way I run, but also the way I live the other 23 or 22 and a half hours of my day when I'm not running. And that means that even when I do run, those certain muscle groups are just not being included as much. I'm not going to say activated. I'll say included as much or being recruited as much. I equate it a little bit to I understand back injuries quite well. In my line of work, I've had to incidentally learn a lot about back injury. But in terms of muscle strain and pulling a back, the way I understand it is a lot of times you don't pull your back when you're lifting the big bag of groceries or a big sack of sand, or if you're doing a lot of really hard work. You tweak your back when you're bending over to reach for that pencil that you dropped on the floor, that kind of thing. And it's because what's happening is a lot of the weaker muscles are or aren't working how they're supposed to. Things aren't working quite right because it's a very simple motion. And then you're not utilizing the entire structures correctly. I think that's what's going on in my leg. That's a very long-winded way of saying glutes activated, I guess. All right. Sorry about that. But that's, Plant Power Dan says glutes have entered the chat. They're here. But I think I'm onto something. Today's run felt a lot better. I kept doing some of the different things I was doing, trying to just focus on using all of the leg kind of thing. That's hard to explain, but I think I'm getting it. I think I'm gonna start feeling better. JC says his glutes are a bit tired after today's run. All right, cool. Let's see. Plant Power Dan said that's what I was talking about yesterday with sleeping muscles. Yeah, that's right. We don't have to do much to turn those muscles on. I still have a hard time with turning the muscles on, but sleeping muscles, I think is something that I kind of get that kind of makes sense to me. I'm getting there. I need to hear it 5 or 6 different ways, I think, and then it'll sink in. Sometimes it takes me a while to figure things out. Roadrunner Review says, I wish I could get my glutes going. Lord knows they are big enough to make me fast as a rocket. Inez Dunbar says, I hurt my back sneezing today, so I went out for a 10K to see if that helped, and it did a bit. Okay, good. Yeah. I think that's what it's like. So when you're doing the little things where you don't when you go to lift something, you use your legs, you get set, you're using all the muscles correctly. But then when you do the little thing, or maybe you sneeze funny, you're not relying on all your systems correctly, and so then one muscle has to work too hard, and then that's when it tweaks. So I think that's kind of what's happening. All right. Tony Masi says, final long run today, now taper for a virtual Boston next Sunday. Ooh, is that coming up already? Awesome. Good luck, Tony. Hey, what's in the boxes that everyone's getting? Because I've been seeing them on Instagram when people are doing I got my package for the virtual Boston. Does everyone get that, or is that just certain influencers are getting that, or professional athletes the elites are getting it? What's in the box? Does anyone know? Because you always see someone's bib, and you say I got my stuff for virtual Boston, and then there's a shoebox usually, and I don't know what's in it. I think someone showed it, and I forget what was in there. Anyway. Oh, okay. Tony Massey says the first 15K that registered got the box. But what's in it? What's in the box? Anyone know? Steve Arnberg says, running can be hard to figure. Dead legs, 3 straight runs, and last night they felt great. Best run in weeks. Awesome. You got to figure out what you did different. You got to be, I think, Steve, you got to treat it like a baseball player. You'll be I didn't change my underwear. I dragged my foot when I crossed the first baseline. I tapped my hat 3 times before the second batter of the inning went up. You got to figure out what it was, and we got to start becoming really superstitious runners. I don't mean that seriously, but I do think that maybe we should figure out. Maybe you slept really well, or maybe because that third dead leg run, you took it easy. So then the next day, it felt good. I wonder. Wheat City Soul says, at my age, I injure myself opening the fridge too quickly or turning left while walking at a medium speed. Endorphin shifts and Ride 13s arriving this week. Awesome. Very cool. Very cool. That'll be fun. Let me run in those. I'm hoping what I can do. I'm hoping for 2 things, from the shorter, more superficial term. I hope that fixing what's going on, strengthening the glutes, having a more structurally sound gait will allow me to start running in those shoes that I like so much. Again, the Shift and the Ride 13. The longer term, I want to be just a healthier, stronger runner. So I want to get this week I ended up with 59.7 miles on the week. I'm very annoyed that I didn't get that extra 0.3 in, but I had 59.7, so I feel good. I want to get to the 60, 70. Again, maybe throw in a couple 80-mile weeks, but I think this knee thing needs to get sorted out. And I think so far, it's been, focusing on glutes has, I think, helped. In some ways that I expected, in some ways that I didn't expect. It's changing certain things that hasn't helped. So I'll talk about it more once I get a sense of what's happening. I keep doing these motions that look like I'm cupping a butt, but I want to get the overall I'm trying to image in my mind what's happening, and I don't really know yet, so we'll see. And then Martha said something about the boxes. Yeah. I understand that, Martha, the boxes are for those doing the virtual Boston. You have to have registered for it, but I want to know what's inside the box. Is it like Boston Nines? Like the Boston 2020 Boston Nines? Or what's in there? Yeah. And his number says, I was sitting and about to get up and sneezed when I was twisted and I felt pain in my back. Something as easy as that. Yeah. Yeah, I could see it. Tony Massey says, gel chews, leg cramp crushers, bib. Oh, okay. Inside the box. Gels, chews, leg cramp crushers. I don't know what a leg cramp crusher is. A bib, a Boston bag. You would have gotten at registration. Okay. A sticker and a postcard. Okay. Well, that's cool. That's cool. I like that they did it that way. That's fun. Very cool. Plant Powered Dan says, I think for the same reason we should all see therapists to help us hone in on imbalances in our lives, we should all see PT to focus on our physical imbalance. It's just so expensive. I like that. I like that, Plant Powered Dan. You know, I was thinking that in one of the cases that I was working on for work, I came across a deposition of a guy who's a physical therapy like a physical therapist assistant, so not like a certified nursing assistant, not like a CNA, but like a CPT or PTA, something like that. And I was like, oh, that's a fun. I like that job. I feel like that could be a really fulfilling job for a lot of people, I think. And I didn't know like that position exists, but I think that's a really interesting idea, because I think physical therapy school takes a lot of money and time to become a physical therapist. It's very expensive, which is one thing that I think we may need to revisit as like a society, but at least in the U.S. from a health delivery perspective. But I also like the idea that there's physical therapy assistants and that type of role that can help out and make those kinds of some of those services a little bit more attainable for more people. So I'm with you, Dan. Let's see. Let's see. What was I was about to read one. Sean Marshall says, dang, Mike, that's a lot of miles. Yeah, 59.7. I mean, that's about normal for me, I think. So, like, that's where I like it. I'd like to be running like 10 miles or more, you know, a couple of days a week. I have a 7-mile loop that I've been really enjoying. And run that a couple of times a week, and then have like a long run around 15 miles or so, like once a week. That's kind of like what I'd like. I think that would make me very happy. Well, I mean, I'm happy running now, but like I feel like that'd be a good mix to have in this state where I'm not really training for anything. So, Steve said, when you suffer with your Saucony, like like SAUCO, but instead of the NY for Saucony, he put KNEE. Very clever. He said, when you suffer with your Saucony, was it just one side? It was just the one side, the right. I think I can feel slight pain occasionally running in the shifts, but it might be in my head. My heels do collapse a little inwards, a little normally. Yeah, I mean, I only had it on the one side, and when my hips are sore from a lot of running, it's usually my right side hip that is a little bit more tender than the left, for sure. And something that I've noticed doing some of these like gluteus maximus and minimus and lateralis exercises, my butt muscle exercises, that my right side hip is like way more like restricted. It just can't move as well as my left side hip. And so, you know, I think that all these things are connected. It's like all the people looking at the elephant's leg from the different directions, that kind of allegory, whatever. So I think these are all different ways of like different clues looking at the same solution, which I hope is just that I have a sleepy butt, or I have gluteus amnesia, or I need to activate my glutes more. Whatever metaphor works for you. I think that's where I'm at. And I'm just really thinking out loud here and like experimenting on myself. But so far I'm feeling good. I mean, it's been 2 days of doing this, so it's very early. But I feel optimistic. We'll see. But Steve, I hope it's not the same thing for you. But I mean, here's where I think if it is like a similar or an analogous thing for you, I think it's like, the Saucony shoe is, kind of like pinpointing or bringing to light something that's off balance for you. Because that's what I think it is for me. Like, I think the shoes are great. That's the thing. I like the shoes a lot. It's just they're giving me a hard time. And hopefully I can take that realization and move it around full circle and figure out a way to like strengthen myself, make myself more balanced and strong and healthy, and then come back to it later. That's what I'm hoping. Kurt Owen says, you don't want to know what's in the box, Brad Pitt. That's funny. You don't get a lot of Seven references these days. Not in 2020. Ilya Kim is here. Hey, he says, hey, yo, what's going on, Ilya? Ryan Bradley says, how's everyone's run week? My biggest run week yet with 180K or 111 miles. That's amazing. Good job, Ryan. That's a lot of miles. Steve E says, 111 miles. Dang. Running doubles? Yeah. Yeah. Ronan Review says, every time I hear Gluteus Maximus, I think of the movie Gladiator. That's funny. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, before I forget, I want to talk about running adventures this week because I was like, let's hear about your running adventures. So type them out down below. But my running adventure, I mean, it's not a huge running adventure. It's not like I went on like a quest. But we've been going to all these different parks, and I thought today or this weekend, it showed up some of the footage in today's video, was that there's this park called New Wine Park, which is very close to here. I've been camping there before even. It's one of like the 3 places that I've gone camping in my life. And we went with the girls. We actually took the girls twice. Once I went with the girls, and then once all 4 of us went as a family to go on this little loop. And it's only like a mile and change for this loop. But it's like either steep uphill or steep downhill. And some points it's so steep that there's stairs that are like cut into the side of the hill. And we're running around, and it's very dense. It's like a very young forest, so it's not super tall. There's not a huge canopy, but it's very dense. Like you couldn't see very far into it because it's just like almost like brush. But we walked in there, and we had a really good time as a family. We had to do a little bit of a river crossing as well with the kids, which the kids wanted to do on their own. And I was like, guys, if you fall in, I'll be able to come out and get you. But like the water's not, I mean, it's not like you're standing through a puddle. You'll get really wet, and I don't have extra clothes or towels in the car, just so you know. But if you want to try, I'll help you. And they wanted to do it, and we got across there, and it was fine. The first time I did it, I was holding the baby, the 4-year-old, and she's giant. And so, but at least she's old enough and big enough and strong enough now that she can hold on to me. Like a year ago, she would have just been like carrying like dead loose weight. And even probably like almost fighting against me. But to this time, she held on real tight. And we tried to cross over. And at one point, I was like, whoa, uh-oh. And I had to like turn sideways and try to get balance. And as it was to the point where I was starting to like scope out in my vision. Okay, as I'm falling like backwards, like and my butt's going to land in this river, where shall I try and set the baby as I like fall back? You know what I mean? So it got to that point. Fortunately, I was able to hold on to it. And I would like to credit my leg mobility exercises that I've been doing that helped with my balance. And we stayed dry. So that was pretty fun. So that's something we did. And then the following day, I think it was yesterday, I was able to run there because it was basically that 7-mile loop I was talking about. If instead of making a left at one point, I just keep going on the road like 100 feet. That's the entryway to the park. Now, the entryway to the park is really long. You have to go up a really big hill. And there's no shoulder, so you're running right on the pavement. So it's a little bit tough. But it's like hard on the knees. But so that just getting into the park, to the trail is like almost a mile. But like just to get to that entry route, it was like another 100 feet. And I didn't even realize it. So like I add that onto my 7-mile Vaske loop. V-A-S-K-E is the street that it's on. And it was there. So it was super fun. And then I also ran it again today. And I just had super fun. The other part that makes it very adventurous is that there were dudes hunting in there for some reason. I don't think there was an active hunting season. So I was kind of shady and a little bit scary because they were in full camo. And they had their guns out. So I was just like, hey, dudes. So like walking down the path. Unfortunately, we had masks when we saw him yesterday, and I saw him again today too. But we saw him yesterday, and we're walking down this path, and it's wider than like a single track. It's about, I think it's probably exactly the width of a riding mower, and it's that wide. And we're walking down. We've got our masks on because we see some people coming, and they're full head to toe camo and rifles. So it's like, hey, and so I was just like, whatever you're doing, I don't care. Just don't shoot while my kids are around. And then so we keep walking, and they kind of give us a nod, and then the baby's just like, as they're like walking off, she goes bye and like yells at them real loud, and then they're like, oh, see you later. So I was like, okay, that was like unnecessarily tense, but still, just please refrain from gunfire while children are around. And the thing is, there's a camping that's very near. I mean, the whole park is you can camp there, so it's kind of weird. I don't think there's any hunting seasons right now, so it's although my mother-in-law said it might be squirrel season. I don't know what kind of weapon one brings to hunt squirrel, but anyway, that added an element of adventure to the situation. So that was my adventure. What were your guys' adventures? Awesome. Let's see what else we got here. Roadrunner Review says, thanks for the tip on the Torrent 2s. I did a 10K with them yesterday and going out for another 5 or 10K after the show on them. Awesome. I'm glad you like them. I ran on them today. I've just been really liking them. I feel like they are a good, like the outsole lugs are pretty stiff, at least for me. So like they're pretty rigid, but the midsole foam is nice and soft. So I like that kind of combo. So it works for me. Stevie76 says, breaking, top seed Novak Djokovic has been defaulted from his U.S. Open 4th round match after accidentally hitting a ball at a line judge in a fit of anger. That's, bad, but it's also really funny because it reminds me of, I just watched yesterday Aussie Man Reviews. I don't know if you guys watch Aussie Man Reviews, but I love Aussie Man Reviews. And I was just watching the one that and I've seen it before, but I watched the one that he did on tennis players getting angry. And so, like, that's all I'm thinking of right now. I don't know who Novak Djokovic is. I recognize the name. My dad watches a lot of tennis. Whenever we're together, there always seems to be tennis on, or he finds it somehow. So I know the name. I couldn't pick that person out in a lineup, but I think it's kind of funny. Let's see. What do we got down here? Kurt Owen says, my Garmin has a load focus area where I'm always extremely deficient in low aerobic. I'm good in anaerobic and aerobic high. How important is getting in sufficient low aerobic? I'm not sure what the difference is. Kurt, I don't know. Like, I know, like, the Stride FootPod has changed because the Stride FootPod used to tell you about something like that too, where it was like if you're not doing enough speed work or leg strength or things like that, and it would tell you like where you're deficient. Now it changed. It tells you like where you are percentile wise in terms of like compared to other people. But I'm not really sure. Does it, Kurt? Does your Garmin tell you what you can do to get in that low aerobic? I'm not sure where. Yeah, I'm not sure. Who was saying something about it being Iowa militia? Not really Hank Aaron saying it was Iowa militia. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what those dudes were, but they were there 2 days in a row. So, and I don't know what they were hunting, but I didn't hear any gunshots today. We heard 2 gunshots yesterday. So, that's a little scary. Yeah. Bert Leguest says, yesterday evening I discovered there's a European shop of Runner's Warehouse too. I shopped 3 pair of shoes for the next coming months. Rahi 4, Gaviota 2, and Speedgoat Mid GTX 2. 20% off. That's awesome. I've never run in the Speedgoat. I think the Speedgoat is like, whenever I review like a trail shoe and I'm like, I'm a road runner, I don't run in like really trail shoes. Like Speedgoat is exactly what I'm thinking about. Or like, what's the Solomon one? Speed Cross? Is that Solomon? Like those are the shoes I'm thinking of where I'm like, I will never run in it. I will like I can't imagine a situation where I'll be like, I need more trail shoe. I need like more shoe. Where I would need either of those two shoes. But I'm jealous because the Speed Goat is a beautiful shoe. It looks great. And I didn't know there was a mid GTX version. Like those are kind of like two of my favorite suffixes for shoes. Because I don't know why, but I really like mid tops. And I love Gore-Tex. So that sounds like you're on for a fun like fall and winter of running. Some good choices there. And as far as like Runner's Warehouse, there is a everything warehouse. It's amazing. It's like I didn't know there's a universe of warehouses. So there's like tennis warehouse, there's running warehouse, there's different warehouses for outside the U.S. I'm not sure exactly what are the different delineations, but there's a lot. There's a lot. Like sometimes I feel like running warehouse is like Connor sitting in the back room of a running shoe store, and the other times I'm like, oh, this is a behemoth of a company, and I can't really put my finger on like which one it is. So I would like to really go out and visit their offices in California sometime. And so like once everything settles down, that'll be on my Kofuzi, maybe not world tour, but like America tour, or just tour. Not really. Hank Aaron says there's no gunfire in Chicago. That's true, but I can't tell you any time where I've been near it or walked with my children by people with guns. So, for whatever that's worth. So, unless you're talking about cops, because there's sometimes we will see cops. But, I can't remember the last time I saw someone walking around with rifles that may or may not have been fired within the last 5 minutes. Someone asked me about long-term something. Where'd that go? Ryan Bradley says, Kofuzi, what are your long-term plans for returning to Chicago? What do you miss most about the city? We don't have any long-term plans right now. We're hanging out here for a while. We're going to see how the first semester of school goes. I think school is going to be a big kind of like driver of what happens. Because right now school is virtual, so we could do that from anywhere. So as long as we can do that from anywhere, we're going to do it from where we have like a backyard and a place where the girls can go play outside. Have lots of space, don't have to go in an elevator, don't have to worry about should we take a bus today or not. So like that's what we're going to do. So we're here for a while. And then what do I miss most about the city? I miss my run commute a lot. I really enjoyed like running. I like running twice a day. Like I liked running to work, and then I like running home. That was really nice. I also miss like a sunrise over the water. So that's not most, but that's two things. I guess three maybe. But I miss that a lot. I think there was something very meditative about kind of like running by water and sunrise. Like very cleansing, I think. Neats Toy 01 says, do you remember the Gyakuso Turbo? Thoughts on that? Wondering if it's worth it. I love that shoe. I think that was one of the best design shoes that I've seen. The only thing I didn't like, you have to wear tall socks in it. Because that material will cut into your foot. It's not great. It was very sharp for some reason. So other than that, it was a great shoe. I really enjoyed it. Mark Rainey says, do you know Ivan Lendl and Andre Agassi? I know them a little bit more because I had a Nintendo game called Ivan Lendl Chris Everett Tennis. I think tennis is a sport that ports really well to video games. I've always loved tennis video games. I had that tennis game on Dreamcast. Every system I've played some sort of tennis game, and I always really like it. And Andre Agassi, I remember because for many reasons, because I was like I'm older, so I remember the older players. But and that's when I played tennis when I was like for a couple of years. A lot of my friends were into it, so I was into it for a little while, and that was around that time. Like I kind of got more interested in tennis when like the end of Agassi and the beginning of Sampras. But Agassi, like I also remember because of the EOS Rebel, the camera commercials. J. Mark Remy says, the same could be said about lots of runners, though. I know some of the names, but wouldn't know if I saw most at the grocery store. Yeah, I would probably agree with you on that one. Like, I think that if I like move to like Flagstaff, Boulder, or like Portland area, like Oregon, there's not a lot of people that I would recognize as pro runners. I'd be like, that dude's in jogging pants, that dude's in jogging pants, that girl's in jogging pants. Lots of jogging pants, a lot of running pants around here. Real running shoes, so they must run. But I don't know. I'd probably be that way too. Marguerite says Chris Everett. Yeah. I mean, you don't remember Chris Everett? She was dominant. She was really good, and I think she's an announcer. Right? I think that's what she does. Mr. Random says, I have a pick'em for Boston 9 or Brooks Hyperion Tempo. Ooh, I would go to the Hyperion Tempo because I have the Boston 9. There'll be many versions of those, but those will most likely, you'll find a way to get them very discounted at some point in the relatively near future. The Hyperion Tempo, I don't know that I'll get discounted, so I'd go with the Tempo first. Greg Itahara says, Yo Fuzi, hopefully early next week, announcement from Kara and the date 11/7/20, a new race series. Oh, I like that. Just right around my birthday too. That could be fun. And that should be right around where like the first like quarter of CPS ends. So I mean that, we might be back by then. Who knows? Awesome, cool. I'll have to keep my ear out for that. Tony Macia says, I lost a stride pod on a trail run last week. They were nice enough to give me a coupon for 50% off, so it was only $110 loss. Could have been worse. What were you doing? I've really beat up my stride pod a lot, horribly bad, and I'm like, it's still there. I don't know how it's still there. But then I'm always like, if I lose this little piece of plastic, how will I attach it to my shoe? I'll be screwed. So it's just that's hard. I have wished that like the stride pod had like a little chirp on it that you could be like, on your phone, be like, find my stride pod. I wish it had that. Because I feel like that's something that needs a little chirp on it. I could go for that. Bert, like I says, I need that speed goat for that Money 50 miles he's going to do in December. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that'll be fun. I think that'll be fun. A Roadrunner Review says, did you all see Seth rip the Nike Next Percent tempos apart before 50 miles today? He was like, this shoe should last 500 miles. Then he takes the hacksaw to it. But I thought he said that it might be a fake. Didn't he say that? I only saw the thumbnail today, so I didn't get to see the whole video. What's funny is like Seth seems like a guy that would own a bandsaw, and then whenever he cuts a shoe open, he's always using like the handsaw to it. It seems there's a dissonance there that just doesn't make sense. I don't know why he doesn't have a bandsaw. He should have a bandsaw. And that's how that's how I would go about cutting open a shoe. I've tried doing it once. It failed miserably because I own no tools. I couldn't even get the glue off. All right. Let's see. Someone said something about REI. REI says, I thought it said, oh man, I don't know where it went. Sorry. I'm just going to skip that one. Sorry about that. Let's go to... CL Furlong's here. It says, howdy. Good to see you again. We had some folks with compound bows hunting for bunnies in our next door. Was odd just seeing it out of nowhere. It's very random. My sister-in-law, who lives down the street, their neighbors, they're not exactly neighbor, but like a little bit over, they're practicing their compound bows because deer hunting season is in like October, so it's soon. And... so they've been practicing. And it's pretty cute because it's like the husband and the wife get out there and they practice together. So they both have their bows out there and they're both out there. And their dog hangs out. And I'm like, dog, you got to be careful. Because they're practicing on how to shoot animals about yourself. Well, bigger than a dog, but it's a big dog. So I'm like, that's kind of a cute like family activity. But it's also weird because like usually when we see my sister-in-law, we go and like stand like in their driveway and they come out of the house and we all kind of like stand like far apart. And so like there's, the two families are standing out and there's children around and then there's like someone shooting like a compound bow over there. And I know they're shooting in the other direction and it's completely safe, but it just seems like, I don't know, for a guy that like grew up in the suburbs and now lives in the city, it's just really surreal in a lot of ways. Gotham Parks XBX says, I don't know what that is in Roman numerals. Will you get deeper into cycling going forward? Maybe. I like how far I'm into cycling now. You know, if I had more time, I would like to have like one like long ride a week. You know, like an hour and a half to 2 hours of riding a week. Right now, I'm getting like a couple of 2-mile rides in with my daughter. Yesterday, the family, we all went out for about 40 minutes of riding. I had the baby in the bike trailer, and we all went out as a family along the Heritage Trail. So that was a lot of fun. So I've been enjoying it. I enjoy cycling in that regard right now. And then other than that, I don't have a lot of ambitions. I did that 2.5 hour ride, and I think I bit off way more than I could chew. I didn't intend to go out for 2.5 hours. I thought it would be an hour and a half. And I didn't like it at all. I think I need to get a new, I would need to get like a rail bike, like something that fits me a little bit better and is more designed for the like road cycling. I don't know if a road bike is necessarily what I need, but something else a little bit more robust before I get a little bit more serious about it. I do like it, but like riding a long time takes a different kind of endurance that I don't have. Swarmy says, hey, your videos inspired me to start walking every day. Awesome. This week was my second week and I did 15.4 miles total. I'm looking forward to getting better. Awesome. Cool. Stay with it. Focus on like the total week and not just any one day, and you'll definitely get there soon. Awesome. Yeah. Local Full 2 says best shoe for over 2 hours run right now. I did a 30-mile run in the Endorphin Speed, so that's probably one of my best picks. I'd say if you're going out for like a more chill 2-hour run, I would really like the Triumph 18. I think that's a good one. Another option, really great option if you don't like the hint of stability, is the Clifton 7. Very relaxed, very cushioned. I like that one. Bert Leguez says, John McEnroe once insulted the referee in a minute-long rant or so. Yeah, that when Aussie Man Reviews did his, isn't that what it's called? Aussie Man Reviews? Did his like thing on tennis players. He started out with like, we're going to start out with the king of them all, John McEnroe, and he did a whole part on John McEnroe. And now he also commentates tennis, doesn't he? Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, a lot of people talking about Virtua Tennis. That was a great game. Bert Leguez says, what do you think of the new Hoka Rocket X? Position between the Carbon Rocket and the Carbon X, and intended as a marathon shoe. I've been wanting to get my hands on that since I saw it February 29th in Atlanta. Alafine Tuliamuk, she ran in them. Stephanie Bruce ran in them. They both had really good days, and I've been very excited. I tried running I ran a marathon in the Carbon Rocket. I am not strong enough to run a marathon well in the Carbon Rocket. I've run a 50K in the Carbon X, and I would love something that's in between them for the marathon. So I'm super excited for it. I don't have a pressing need for a marathon racer right now, so I'm like, I don't know. I'll probably order one as soon as I can order one. Is it out now? Because I saw it. Did Seth have one already? So I'll order one as soon as I can order one, but we'll see how. We'll see when I can get it. Plant Power Dan says, I sometimes get the impression that some companies are dropping plated shoes to saturate the market and keep their customers focused on them. How many Nike runners picked up the Endorphin Speed? I don't know. MCS says, Mike, you would really dig racquetball. I love racquetball. Racquetball is a super fun sport. Me and my roommate in college, we were total goofballs. And so we would go and play. I used to own a racquetball racket. And also racquetballs. That's how serious I was. But we had we would play racquetball, and because we lived really close to the school gym, so we would go there and play racquetball. And then after we were done playing racquetball, we would then made up a game called Ultimate Racquetball, where we just stood on the opposite sides of it. And you had to hold the racket upside down so that way you didn't get too much power. And you'd try to hit the other person with the racquetball. And you got different points for where on the headshots were lots of points. Body shots were less points. But that's why we would do that too. So we would play racquetball and then also Ultimate Racquetball. It's a lot of fun. I like the speed of racquetball. It's very fast. You need a lot of reflexes, but not like a ton of running. So like yes, we will get super sweaty and tired, but it's a different like level of running than like tennis, for example. But what I love about it much more than tennis is that if I really shank a shot, I don't have to be like, hold on, and then like leave the tennis court, open the gate to the door, go out, fetch it, then come back, close the gate thing. And then play some more. So you never have to do that. So that's why I love racquetball more than tennis. Yeah. All right. Cameron says Adidas Boston 8 or SL20. Oh man, I never have it all ready. SL20 is the word of the day. Rotor Review says SL20. I would go with the SL20. There are some people that might say Boston 8. But you have to specify because the Boston 8 is a weird shoe that there's one Boston 8 that is Boost and some unnamed EVA compound. And there's a later one that is Boston 8 with Light Strike. That one is more like the Boston 9. But I still prefer the SL20. I think the Boston 8 with Light Strike and the Boston 9 is a little bit more versatile because it's got Boost in the heel. It's a little softer. But the SL20 is just such a fun shoe to run in. I love it. Rami Mubayet says, to improve endurance, should a runner always breathe from his or her nose? I feel like I get tired more when I breathe from my mouth. I don't think that those things are necessarily correlated. I mean, some people, there's like, Floris Gearman is now running with like nose breathing only, which is, I think, kind of out there. I don't think it would work for me. I think that like, sometimes I'll run breathing through the nose, sometimes through the mouth. It depends on how hard I'm running. I would say that, Rami, do you feel like you're getting tired more when you're breathing through your mouth because you're running faster when you're breathing through your mouth and you're running slower when you're breathing through your nose? So like that's, I feel like I think of it like throttle, right? When you want to go really fast, you slam your foot down on the gas and you need as much oxygen and as much fuel in there as possible to get as much horsepower or torque or whichever one you want power output. But when you're cruising, you're easing off the gas, you're using less oxygen and less fuel to maintain that speed so you can breathe through your nose. So for me, on a marathon, I usually alternate between 2 steps in through the nose, 1 step out through the mouth, or sometimes 2 in, 2 out. And then when I'm really pressing it, then I might be like 1 in through the nose, 1 out through the mouth. And then when I'm all out or like really tired at the end, it might be in, out through the mouth. So like it just depends on, it's a spectrum for me. That's how I approach it. Ronan Review says, where's the SL20 emoji? Can you imagine if they had that? That'd be funny. And Tony Masia says they are working on a chirp. That's pretty cool. I hope to see that. JC says racquetball will work their glutes. Will it? Maybe I need to do that. Martha says racquetball is probably great for doing lots of lateral moves, which Russians just don't do enough. I think maybe I need to play. Although, like, how would I play racquetball? I don't know. I don't know how to play. I mean, yeah. I don't know where I would go to play racquetball at this point, and if I could go there, I wouldn't go there not right now. Ryan Bradley says SL20. I find myself reaching for mine more and more, trying to figure out the category for the 20s. Yeah. I don't know. Eric Durrett said the SL20 is a fun little shoe. It is. I like it. Let's see. What's that? Bert Legas says, I once played squash. I hated it. I also hate tennis. I do like ping pong / table tennis. Squash is a weird sport. That one just looked funny. Like that, like when I would go to the gym in college and Recycle on Wednesday, we're talking about racquetball. That's where we got there, about talking about college, and me and my buddy, we would go to the racquetball courts, and they were like, there usually would be a lot of them open because lots of people weren't. Racquetball is not that popular of a sport, but they had lots of racquetball courts in college. And then we were like, I'll be like, what are those over there? And he's like, oh, that's squash. I'm like, that's weird looking. I don't even understand how to play that one. I mean, you might as well be playing highlight. I mean, I don't understand really all that much of a difference between those two. And then Burr saying that you like table tennis, and Martha loves ping pong. I love ping pong too. I'm a big fan of it. My dad also loves playing it. I remember he would take me to play ping pong. We used to live on campus at Drew University when he was in graduate school, and he would take me to like the student center, and we would like go borrow like a ping pong paddles and a ball and play. You could like check them out when you were there. And he was like teaching me how to play this when I was little. Before I was like looking over the table like this and like trying to play like this, like like elbow resting on top of the table as I'm standing on it. And then at one point in our lives, my parents moved into a house that like the previous owners like left a ping pong table there. They just didn't want to bother getting it out of the basement. So we thought that was pretty cool, and we played ping pong, and we would have epic battles. We would play for like hours at a time, and we would come up and just be like dripping in sweat. It's a theme for me, I guess. But we would be dripping in sweat or just playing like crazy. I feel like I got pretty good at one point there. My dad is really good ping pong player, but that was a lot of fun. I have really fond memories of playing ping pong with my dad. I really like that. That's a fun game. It's a very fun game. I don't know. I think if I played it now, my reflex would be way off. So I just feel like I'd be like, I used to be so much better at this. Yeah, Bartha says it's I think you're talking about squash. It's the ultimate yuppie sports here in Belgium. After a frustrating day as a consultant, you go mental on a ball that doesn't bounce. Okay, cool. Mark Rainey says squash is a longer racket, ball doesn't bounce, and he's never played. RC2 Roadrunner Review says, is there a difference between the SL20 and the RC2? Here's as far as I can tell, the only difference between the SL20, there's two differences between the SL20 and the RC2. I think the SL20 is like the tempo day shoe, or maybe even like the everyday trainer light strike shoe, if there's like such a thing. I don't think light strike makes a great everyday trainer material, but like, so think of the SL20 as like the everyday trainer / maybe like a faster day shoe. The RC2 is the racing version, I think, of the SL20. It's got a more stripped down upper, and it's got 2 millimeters less of midsole stack height. So like I think that's the differences to it. Other than that, I think it's the same. There might be differences in the torsion plate, maybe, but I don't really know that for sure. I'm not running it. I don't really understand the RC2. But again, I didn't really understand the SL20 at first either. And I'm over trying to understand it. I just know that I like it, and I find myself recommending it all the time. The other thing about it, not about the SL20, is today's video where I talked about the Ultra Superior 4.5. I was looking at it today, and I was getting like links ready in the description. And on the Ultra website, it's on sale for like $82. So for like $80, you can get yourself a pretty good light trail shoe. So lots of fun. Just letting you guys know about that one. Real Eric M says, ever played pickleball? I've heard it's a cross between ping pong and tennis. I've not played that before. Cameron says, do you have a favorite distance? My favorite distance is the half marathon. I love that distance. It's one where someone who's not very talented at racing and pacing strategy can really screw things up and still like not have a terrible day. So it doesn't really penalize me for some of my like impatience, while still, it's still very much a distance race. So I like that one. That's my favorite. Martha says, I've played pickleball finally. The hardest part was a scorekeeping system. It's like a ritual to call every time and a pain in the butt. I mean, glutes. That's so funny. Martha says pickleball is the most popular with old fogies. Is it? Really? I don't know. I've not really heard of it too much. You know what I'm surprised is not like more popular generally, especially at the time where like, what do you call them? Cornhole? Do you call them bags? Whatever. When like that game started getting popular, and it was right after whichever Winter Olympics that curling debuted. I'm surprised that shuffleboard didn't like make a resurgence, um, or that shuffle puck, the game that you play at bars, didn't make a resurgence. I love shuffle puck. I also really enjoy shuffleboard. I played it on the Disney cruise. Um, they had the shuffleboard deck out there, and I just had a lot of fun with it, and my daughter did too. Although she would just like wing it as hard as she could, and it still wouldn't reach like the other end. So like there's some distance to it. So it's fun. And I would like to try curling. One of my buddies, we all, like a whole bunch of us, used to all live in Chicago together, and people are spreading out. He's up in Minneapolis now, and he and his buddies are on a curling team, and I'm like, that sounds amazing. I mean, Minnesota, it's pretty much Canada, so it makes a lot of sense. But yeah, that's a sport that like I'm surprised hasn't made like a comeback. Yeah. Recycle on Wednesday says, I had to play pickleball in school, but remember nothing about it. We also had to play this game that was a combo of tennis and volleyball, which was the worst game ever invented. Like badminton? Yeah, badminton's awesome. Badminton is another game that me and my dad have had some pretty fun battles with. I like that game a lot. And JC says, curling looks fun and keeps the beer cold. Yeah, there's a lot of beer drinking involved in curling. It's like, I would say as much as like softball, you know. MCM says dodgeball would be a good energy frustration release right about now. Yeah, I think it would be. Bert says in the Netherlands, korfball is big. KORF. It's literally translated as basketball, but the basket doesn't have a plate. Interesting. I'll have to look that up. Oh, something else that just kind of reminds me of it is, so I looked up on Amazon Prime Video the Adidas versus Puma movie, and I started playing it today as I was editing today's video this morning. And I got like 6 seconds into it because I didn't realize it's not in English. It's in German, right? So like I was like, I can't like anything that with subtitles I have to like pay attention to because I have to read it. And so I was like, oh, I can't do this. I'll have to actually pay attention to this. So that increases the barriers to me being able to consume that content. But I tried to do that today. Mark Rainey says, Sam Volleyball was one of my favorites, and he played many days at North Beach in Chicago. Oh, man. That's cool. Very cool. Yeah. Let's see. Martha says, curling. Who was it who famously said, quote, if curling is an Olympic sport, ... question mark. Hint, had to do with Bill C. and Monica L. Oh, interesting. I don't know that quote. I'll have to look that up, too. Martha says, dodgeball is mean. It's not a good release if you're the target. A slightly bullied kid surrounded by mean junior high girls. Yeah, oh yeah, I was a very enthusiastic target in a lot of dodgeball in high school. Yeah, great times. I do like the game. I think it's fun. And I think that the dodgeball scene in Billy Madison is also very fun. But yeah, it has a very it typically ends in a lot of crying, I feel like. And Swarmy says super fun with a good group of friends. I think if you got to be with the right people. You got to be with all willing participants. You know, if you're not like in a high school gym class or a middle school gym class, it gets very unhealthy very quickly. One game that I would love to be able to play well, that I am sure that I never will be able to play well, is the game where you're kicking it like soccer, but you're playing in a sand volleyball court. Like that game looks amazing to watch. And I'm like, what kind of super athlete do you have to be able to play that game? And it's not me, for sure. I'm not a super athlete, but at all. But that seems like that. I don't even know what the game is called, but yeah. Mark Ring says, met my wife for the first time out with friends when I was in the quarterfinals on North Beach. And he got slaughtered. Awesome. But it worked out because you got the wife. You know, you met your wife there. You may have lost the game, but you got a wife. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't quite that instant of a this or that, but I think you came out on top of it. Ryan Bradley, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. That's so funny. Cameron says, do you have a least favorite shoe of the year? Hyperion Elite 1. That's my least favorite shoe of the year. Swarmy says, college intramural sand volleyball was so much fun. Everyone was in it. Yeah, I remember some of that too. I wasn't on an intramural team, but I played a little bit in college. It is a fun game. Yeah, Mark Rainey says, yeah, it worked out in terms of losing the volleyball game on North Beach. All right, I think that's a good place to end it there for today, everybody. I had a lot of fun. Hopefully you guys are going to have some more adventures on the long weekend running-wise. It rained a lot here this morning, so we had some plans to go on some more family like outdoor adventures, which we've been doing a lot of, and it's been really great. We might try to do one this afternoon. We'll have to see what the kind of weather's like. When I ran through the park today, everything was not sloppy, but things were wet and kind of soggy. So I don't know if we'll do that. We'll have to figure something else out. So we'll see what we do. I'll tell you guys about it tomorrow in tomorrow's live stream. We'll do another one, 3 p.m., even though it is Labor Day, but we'll still do it 3 p.m., and we'll have another video tomorrow. I don't know what it's going to be yet, but it'll be about something. It might be about glutes. I might kind of like bring everyone else in the YouTube universe like up to speed on my glute. I keep doing that. Every time I say glutes, I always make some sort of hand gesture that is like cupping a butt. I can't stop doing it, but I might try to like fill everyone else in on what's going on in my glute journey. So that might be the video tomorrow. So check it out. It might not, because I think I'll probably end up doing this hand gesture thing a lot anyway. Anyway, in the meantime, hopefully you guys are staying safe out there on your runs, and thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. See you next time.